The zipper is showing on the pants in an odd way. I mean, everything about it.
It looks like a pair of tuxedo pants that they cut off above the knee, and then he's wearing like this really baggy woman's blouse.
He looks like something that Trey Parker and Matt Stone would wear to mock people, or he looks like if Lloyd Christmas was doing some shopping before he went on stage at a convention. That's what Pedro looks like.
Lloyd Christmas, at least when he put on the orange suit, at least it went together.
Yep.
At least it was a suit.
He's going through something, man. There's some weird stuff going on with this guy.
Renegade Online.
Just for the record, this should have been last night's episode of The Last of Us instead. Didn't need Abby. Didn't need Abby to kill him. They could have just put Gina in.
I'd watch that. Did you see his shorts at Star Wars Celebration?
Yeah, we got a picture of it.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, you know what? Let me pull up the StarWars.net thing, because that's actually, I wanted to show that one picture that they had there. So here comes Pedro Pascal. He's in a blouse. You got Sigourney Weaver that was in a suit.
Do you think Favreau wakes up and questions his decisions in life?
I want to know, did they get the wardrobe carts switched by accident for these two? For Sigourney Weaver and Pedro Pascal.
Oh, yes. I was guessing with a 5-year-old, because that's how he's dressed, like a 5-year-old.
She's in a black suit with a white shirt. Like that would be something that a guy would wear. And then Pedro's up there in what I can only describe as a blouse, a woman's blouse.
It takes a lot to get me to make fun of a guy's, clothes.
I think a few other people made the same comment. We all we saw the image of this, of what he was wearing, okay, with the shorts. And I'll swing over to that one here real quick. But I think everybody kind of had the same reaction to this that so many of us did. This is bring your mentally handicapped kid to work day. Pedro Pascal rode the short bus to get to the convention. I don't know what is going on here.
He looks like Alice from the Brady Bunch on a swim day.
I don't even know what the shoes are. Like, he's wearing regular boots or something, and then he's got these slip covers over it.
They look like a woman's boots have been deflated.
Yeah, but they're two separate pieces. It's not even.
The zipper is showing on the pants in an odd way. I mean, everything about it.
It looks like a pair of tuxedo pants that they cut off above the knee, and then he's wearing like this really baggy woman's blouse.
He looks like something that Trey Parker and Matt Stone would wear to mock people, or he looks like if Lloyd Christmas was doing some shopping before he went on stage at a convention. That's what Pedro looks like.
Lloyd Christmas, at least when he put on the orange suit, at least it went together.
Yep.
At least it was a suit.
He's going through something, man. There's some weird stuff going on with this guy.
You notice he's always touching the other person. Like, remember the famous moment where he was like grabbing Vanessa Kirby's arm and like stroking her, and she had to grab his hand to like settle him down before they were doing the stuff for Fantastic Four.
It's like this is like a Michael Jackson kind of thing. I mean, there's something weird. There's something not right here.
He's got to have some type of social. He's either way up on the autism spectrum, and I'm not trying to be funny. I don't know, but there's something not right with Pedro Pascal, like at all. There's something not right with him, and the fact that nobody went to this guy before he walked out on stage and said, "Pedro, so glad you're here. What the fuck are you wearing?
Why do you have a propeller beanie on your..." Maybe he did. Maybe he had a propeller beanie on his head and they made him take that off. You never know.
I have no idea. I mean, this was just bizarre. This is the sad thing. Ladies and gentlemen, this image right here, this was the highlight of the weekend. This was the biggest thing. This picture right here, this was the biggest thing, arguably, to come out of the Star Wars Celebration. You know why I say that? Because out of everything that came out of it, this image is the one that seems to me far and above anything else. This is what people are talking about. Pedro Pascal's Short bus.
The only thing missing is if instead of the microphone, if he had a giant lollipop in his hand, it would complete the ensemble.
The thing is that I bet this audience probably couldn't name a single project that was talked about besides the obvious of the Rey movie that was announced 2 years ago at the last Star Wars celebration, right? Did Daisy Ridley make an appearance at this thing?
I didn't see Daisy there.
I didn't either. She might have been there. I've seen nothing about Daisy Ridley walking out on stage. She walked out there 2 years ago to announce this new Star Wars Rey Palpatine movie.
That's going well.
That according to this Star Wars celebration from this past weekend in Japan is still in development and is still coming out.
We had the scoop on that. You were eating popcorn when we broke it to Echo Base Network and you were having a good time.
Yeah.
If people out there want to know, why do we not still do that kind of stuff? Why do we not still scoop what's happening with Star Wars and put it out, a day early? Nobody cares. What do you want us to do? Do you want us to scoop what Pedro's wardrobe is going to be so we can all be sad an extra day? No, we're not doing it anymore. We're not paying attention to this nonsense.
This is the kind of stuff from this weekend. Let me show you like how bad things have gotten for whatever poor, pathetic fandom there is left for Disney Star Wars. This is the crowd cheering for season 2 of The Acolyte and wanting more Manny Jacinto. I got news for everybody out there who doesn't already know this. Nobody watched this show. Probably half the audience that did watch it was there to clown on it like we did because we had to, because we've been following the ridiculous production of this turd for 2.5 years. This was an incredibly poorly written show, a poorly directed show, some of the worst narrative and character development I've ever had the displeasure of having to suffer through. And it was just awful. It sucked. And it had no audience. And they spent over $300 million to make it. And the audience out there in social media, this was one of the big moments this weekend. Acolyte season 2, please. Like, this is how dead. This is, you get this once every 2 years. This is Disney's big hoorah for Star Wars. They do it every 2 years. They've already announced the next one is in Los Angeles in 2027. Well, whoopee-doo.
I'm going to defend them, Valiant. Listen, this is in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
These people probably don't know what they're saying. They don't know who this guy is. And they tried to pronounce what was given to them, on the cue cards and said, we want Acolyte. We want Acolyte. And it just, it was a good effort. It was a good effort.
Well,
Lucasfilm put this in a place where the people can't speak the language of Star Wars. I congratulate them. They don't know who Kathleen Kennedy is, so they just applaud anybody who walks up on stage.
There were There were a lot of white people there. There's a lot of Americans in that crowd.
I think next year they need to hold Star Wars Celebration, and I know that it's not for another 2 years, but if they need to, if they're worried about being booed, Star Wars Celebration Papua New Guinea coming next year.
I mean, it's a big international crowd, but I mean, all the Diz tards, the Diz Twitter tards, the Diz Star tards out there.
Tards.
Yeah, they were all there because they were all posting, doing their memes, making fun of people like us who just call balls and strikes on the crap.
I'm sure that was money well spent.
I realize, well, Disney probably paid for a lot of them to go out there. Let's face it. Disney probably paid a lot of the way for these influencers.
I'm going to get Derek Anderson. He was there. We're going to get him on the show soon and find out, like, what was it like? How were the quote unquote influencers treated? The Disney shills. Did they get their own little special silos? Did they get their own little pixie dust cups? Like, I want to know how that works in a country like Japan when they bring all these people in.
And this was just some of the stuff that I saved that I found kind of humorous. And look, I love Jon Favreau when he's making his own movies, when he's telling his own stories, stuff like Chef. He's an amazing storyteller. When he's working and stuck under the thumb of corporate Disney, the quality has kind of gone downhill. Jon Favreau and why Thrawn is such a compelling villain. And this leads into a little sub-story here that I'm in awe at, and then that this is maybe one of the stupidest things that Disney has ever done with anything, Star Wars included. You have to write the villain smart, Favreau says. The best villain is the smart villain. Thrawn doesn't have any special abilities. He just has calculations and his strategy. Why was Thrawn so stupid in Ahsoka then? Again, that was one of those, we joked about the last few episodes of Ahsoka, like, why didn't Thrawn just take off? Why is the ship flying where it is? And just why did he wait? The writing didn't make sense as to why. I mean, if he's such a brilliant strategist, then basically Ahsoka and everybody should have just died right there with as stupid as that show was put together. But that's not the. Oh, by the way, Taika Waititi's movie is still coming. It's been in development for 5 years. He promised it's still coming. These are actual freaking announcements out there, right? Loath Cats appearing in season 2. Give this man a second season. See, this is one of these Disney bot accounts. Picture of Manny Jacinto, nobody following, and it's best of Manny. I mean, again, these are just paid for marketing accounts. How about this one? We need less male-centric Star Wars.
Yeah. Yep. These are the geniuses. Really, I mean, they have driven this thing into absolute obscurity, which is something special considering this was the biggest franchise on the planet.
I'll read this real quick. I mean, you look at this. This is one of these guys that really thinks that this. Honestly, this is when you think about the size of the Star Wars fandom, especially 20 years ago, right? When it was still intact. What's in this room doesn't even amount to 1/10 of 1% of it. Not even a 1/100th of 1% of it.
There might be 1,000 people total in that room.
This guy really reminds you that the hate you see on Twitter and YouTube is just a vocal minority. This is how diluted these people are. Actual Star Wars fans love and care for these projects. Everyone else hates on them for clout. Joe, I got news for you, pumpkin. Nobody watched the show. We just did 30 solid minutes of covering what Nielsen charts and Luminate chart means and how these Disney shows stack up to it. These shows don't matter a hill of beans. They don't matter a pile of dog shit. They don't matter. If Disney was spending 10 to 20, 30, 40, $50 million to make these shows, we can have a discussion. It's still a tiny fraction of what the Star Wars audience used to be 20 years ago. But they're not. They're spending $300 million making these things. So the hate, quote unquote, or really more appropriately, the apathy out there for this franchise is not a minority at all. It is decidedly the majority of Star Wars fans because the majority of them ain't showing up. And also, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie right here, I got news for you, Disney. This ain't going to do what you think it's going to do because, and I'm going to tell you why, because Rosario Dawson, I guess, maybe inadvertently let the cat out of the bag because this movie is not what we were promised 5 years ago.
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.